Thank you. One of the reasons we put this topic on the agenda, and a couple of the people that are responsible for it aren't here, I think it was about maybe 2 years ago at Georgia Learns. Deborah Klein was here, attended Georgia Learns, went to a meeting shortly afterwards and met Annette Sidley. Annette is CEO of a company called Quality Assist. Quality Assist is a Georgia-based company in the business of teaching preschool teachers how to be better preschool teachers. So we have a Georgia-based company that around the country is known for teaching preschool teachers how to be better preschool teachers. The name of Quality Assist, they're almost a 30-year-old company now. Started off because the first thing they were doing was going out to these preschools and assessing them and evaluating them, saying, what are you doing and what is the correlation between what you're doing and the success of the school? However, they were determining that. And there's a lot of federal funding involved, and they wanted to have a consistent way to measure across all this. The school started saying, why are you assessing us? If you know what's to be done, why don't you teach us, tell us? So Quality Assist continues to do the evaluation process, but they've turned into a training company. Okay, so I thought it was interesting because most of us as training companies go out there and train and then try to prove that what we did works. They went out and they said, we know what's working. We've gone all around, we know what's working, and from that, we started to train. So they've been doing that all this time. And about 2 years ago, and this is when Annette was speaking and Deborah Sarr was speaking, the state of Iowa had won a federal grant to focus on infant and maternal health with the goal of reducing mortality. And they wanted a virtual home visitor. Because what was happening in the state of Iowa, what happens all around the country, is we do put a lot of money into trying to reduce this, to make healthier pregnancies. All these things we talked about, the factors that Kelly researched, we have that information. We want to get that to people, and we don't want them to not be able to use it because they can't afford it. So the federal and state governments put aside money to help those families get that information. But it required a visit to make sure the person was eligible and able to use the services. And in the state of Iowa, we had the data, was about $1,000 per visit. The time to manage all that, put somebody in a vehicle, sit down, schedule the meeting, have the meeting. And that's probably worthwhile. $1,000 doesn't seem like very much if it's going to save a life. But the shame was, at the end of that visit, somebody was eligible and they didn't use the services that were available to them. So the motivation was, federal money comes out, the state of Iowa got $7 million, decided to put half of that into more physical visits, and issued an RFP for a piece of software that would be a virtual home visitor that would at least reduce the cost. So they had two goals. Can we reduce the cost of going out and visiting these families, and can we increase utilization? So that was the RFP that went out. And when we issued the RFP, nobody could respond. Nobody had a product that could do that. Not surprising, right? I mean, it's a pretty challenging product. So they withdrew the RFP and put it back out and issued it to two companies, one of whom I've forgotten who the name was, and the second one, Quality Assist. Well, why Quality Assist? They're in the business of teaching preschool teachers how to be better preschool teachers. Nothing to do with maternal and infant health. But they had a relationship with the state of Iowa because they had been doing the training and been involved in the state of Iowa. So the state of Iowa trusted them. We've heard that word a couple of times, right? If you're going to go someplace you haven't been to before, you might want to be there with somebody you trust. So they had the trust, and they said, would you please respond to this RFP? We realize that nobody else has done this before, so we realize you're going to need some help. So when you respond to the RFP, tell us who's going to help you do this. And then when you're done doing it, go out and we're going to have a perpetual license. We, state of Iowa, will have a perpetual license for this virtual home visitor and go sell that to other states and other countries. So Annette is giving this speech. Deborah's in the audience, and Annette's saying, I need to know where I can get help to respond to this RFP. And again, totally as we planned it, of course not. Deborah said, Paul, you should go talk to Annette. What do I know about any of this? Right? I don't, but I know about alliances. I know about bringing people together. So I met with Annette. She said, here's the situation. I went to several people in this room, Mike, David, several others who were here earlier, and I said, would you help would you let us put your name and your capabilities into the response to the RFP for this little Georgia company bidding on a project from the state of Iowa? And of course, you folks very kindly said, of course we would, because we want to participate in that. So we did. They submitted it, and she won. So a little Georgia company won an RFP in the state of Iowa. The state of Iowa was eventually the venture capitalists, saying, we're going to invest in the creation of something new. Now, they're still in progress. They reported back next year. They're making progress. They've got a product called Parentivity, which I guess is the art and skill of being a parent. So if you ever hear of Parentivity, that's, we didn't create it, okay? We kind of helped nudge it a little bit. They did respond. They've used a totally different set of partners as they went to business. That's all right. We helped them get going with it. They're launching it. They weren't able to come to the event today to give us an update, but we just still do have a relationship with them. But in the process of that, one of the things, and this is, I guess, the closing point in this topic from my perspective, is that we did a lot of research with them, and we did find some research from the World Health Organization which substantiated a lot of what Kelly brought up. And it's that globally, the issue is, it's not that we don't know what to do. The information, the knowledge on all of these areas exists. It's not new knowledge that needs to be created. And there's a disconnect between the knowledge and the people that need the knowledge. What do you think that disconnect is? Any guesses? Here's the knowledge. We have all the knowledge to reduce this infant and maternal mortality is much lower.
The way to get them, that's delivery.
A way to get them, that's possibly one. How do we get the information to these people? That's you're on the right path.
They have to apply it still.
They have to apply it, so the knowledge how to apply it.
At the right time.
At the right time. World Health Organization said the gap between here and here is trust. You may have all the knowledge in the world, but if I don't trust you, it's going to go in one ear and not even get a chance to go out the other. It's not even going to go in my head. So the question was, how do I get information to the people that need it from somebody to trust?
Paul, I won't get into too much detail, but for those women in the room who have had successful pregnancies or unsuccessful pregnancies, I'm very delighted and thankful to have had two. The system we have still has problems with that, even in an educated environment. And you hear about it over and over again when you're going through this process. For me, it was a new process, right? So I had to learn a new set of skills, that sort of thing. But people's beliefs, what they've been told by their grandmother's grandmother,
yes,
about what they should or shouldn't do at whatever stages, stops people from actually taking the input of medical professionals. And then you add to that the fact that there's a lot in medicine that is not evidence-based, that it is more, hearsay, and because the doctor who taught me said so. So that trust factor is real. I also think that there's a big difference here, the way you look at the data, and then I'll finish, but that when you put the chart up and you look at the big data and you look at it as one big group, nowadays I feel like there's a problem looking at developed versus undeveloped. My customer sets now have very different ranges of people that we work with, and there are locations in the United States that look, and their data is just like a developing country. And there are other places in the United States that act and look like a fully developed country, and probably are right up there with Luxembourg. So if you look at it in the whole, you're going to get a wash of the average. But there are very specific target areas and groups that it's not going to get you to zero, but it's going to get you so marginally close to it that there are large demographics and groups and areas and regions that are suffering more. And I think that's what you do. I had the benefit of interviewing Rebecca Rimmel, who's CEO of the Pew Charitable Trust, many years ago, and she described the Pew approach to investment in social change. Mm-hmm. And she said, what we do is we look at, and you've probably read this, so forgive me, but you look at it from a series of, an entire river on a dam. This is the change that I could make in this social change. And we're going to look for the one where 9 of the 10 levers are already pulled, And when I pull that last lever, I get the whole river. And that was how she described their finding of the breakfast program impacting children's scores. And people were saying breakfast versus better curriculum, better teachers, more investment in school facilities, things like that. They found that breakfast for certain target groups made the difference. So that was that one lever they pulled and it made a huge difference. That was my
Excellent.
initial comment.
So thank you for that. We're about to go to the next panel, which is on change, and we talk about how critical change is. But I want to hang on to this trust notion. Are we going to be able to create an inclusive environment without trust?
Yep.
No. Okay, so I think the trust issue is going to be, are we going to be able to teach our salespeople to be better salespeople if they don't trust the company that's trying to teach them, if they don't trust the instructor? Okay, so I think if we look at in school, so I mean, all these problems, I think there's a trust component that's built into it. So with that,